So if you're a new email marketer, or maybe you're struggling with a career path, this email never sleeps is for you. I am really excited to talk with Tony Zupancic today. Full disclosure, I've known Tony for a couple of years. He did work at Trendline, my old agency, but he's seen me speak and I've seen him speak, and I'm really excited to introduce him. So Tony, give us a quick background about yourself, because we're going to jump in a little bit more into your background about what kind of career path you've taken, and maybe somebody can glean off of that. So Tony, take it away. Tell us.
Sounds good. So yeah, my name is Tony Zupancic. I am a Salesforce Marketing Cloud developer. I've been in the email space now for about 6 years, and I've jumped around from campaign management to automations to now software development for email specific applications. Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking a little bit before this, and you started out your career as a photographer and a graphic designer.
Yep.
So take us through, like, what was that journey like, right? Because you work on some pretty complicated stuff, right?
Sure.
So you've gone from photographer to graphic designer to being an automation guy, and now working deep, heavy into Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So take us a little bit on that journey real quick. What made you kind of move to where you're at today?
Sure. So when I was doing graphic design and photography, I was working in a local university, and it was right around the time where I was getting ready to leave there onto my next career move. Decided to look into digital marketing. Wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go in the digital marketing space. And for some reason, I kind of stumbled into email. Went into my first email role, and at day one, the manager that was supposed to teach me everything about email. Now, I knew nothing about HTML, nothing about email templates, nothing about email in general.
Yeah.
Day one, she was gone. So she had left the company, and I was there to kind of pick up where I needed to pick up and either sink or swim. So I kind of just dove headfirst into learning everything that I could about email marketing, HTML development, things like that. And then once I started like climbing my way up there, it just kind of kept going, and the passion just kind of grew. And I've been a big part of the Email Geeks community, so I've been able to see what some of those people in that industry and in that group have been able to do, which just really inspired me even more. So I just kept pushing myself and trying to figure out what that next move for the programs I was managing was, and figuring out how to pull that off. And then it was just looking for the next thing that I can pull off and see what else I can pull off.
But you went, I mean, it was almost like going to a racetrack, right? I mean, you went 0 to 100 pretty quick, right?
Very
From
quick.
running an email program to then coming in, becoming eventually a digital platform architect, to then becoming a solutions engineer. And that was all within like a couple of years. So if I'm a person watching this, what were some things that you learned, and how did you learn? Was it through a community? Was it through self-study? Was it through books? Like, talk to me and talk to the audience here about kind of what was that crossing the chasm sort of thing.
Most of my learning was through either community learning or through self-learning. I can't really call it self-learning because there's no such thing as self-learning these days anymore, because you have a question, you don't know how to do something, throw it out to Email Geeks, you throw it out on Twitter, you throw it out on LinkedIn. People come together and help you solve those problems. A lot of the rapid progression was just that. It was both me asking questions on Email Geeks or asking questions to people that I knew in the industry, and then also giving back by doing the same to newcomers as well, which really kind of helped progress that learning. And as far as like what to learn or how to like rapidly figure out what that next step is.
Mm.
Um, it's really just a lot of being an active viewer of what's going on in your current situation and your current role,
Yeah.
and seeing how you can make things better, seeing how you can either automate things or make things more efficient,
Hmm.
uh, you know, filling the gaps in your team
Hmm.
and identifying those and just going headfirst into it. Um,
So I have a theory about the different types of email marketers, right? I think
sure,
I got a post either coming out or it's out, and I wrote it about like the 8 or 9 types of email marketers, and there's really a distinct and unique difference, and you can't be an expert in all of these. But one of the areas I touched on was being a technical marketer, or what I like to call a marketing technologist.
sure,
You understand email marketing, but you also understand to take a strategist's sort of envision, encapsulate that, bring that from a business requirements to a technical requirements, and then being able to say, I could build that, or I could build that, but it's going to take a while,
mhm,
um, type of thing. So if someone's looking to kind of get into the career path of being more of a technologist, somebody that's in technology, do you consider yourself to be a marketing technologist? I mean, you said you learned email marketing, right?
yep,
But so conceptually, you get the strategy angle, you get the analytics angle. You just wonder about how do I build it, and then what
yep,
platform do I build it, right?
yeah.
What does that mindset look like to you? Is it very analytical? Is it somebody that you can take garbage in and then be able to kind of make it good? Like, tell me a little about your mind. How does it work to build something?
Sure. I think it's a mix of a couple different things. So for one, I think the mindset that I have is uh, strategic in efficiencies.
Okay.
So I consider myself a technical marketer as far as looking at a team's processes or workflows or my own workflows to say, what takes me the most amount of time? How can I automate it and condense that to the shortest amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
making it more efficient? That's really kind of what started driving me around this kind of a path.
Mm.
Was I've usually been, when I was brand side, I was a one-man team as far as my role in like managing a lot of those programs.
Mm-hmm.
So in that kind of situation, I had to be very creative with how I spent my time, what kind of things that I spent my time on doing manually, and identifying what was a repetitive task
Mm-hmm.
that took up and ate up a lot of my time.
Right.
So a lot of my mindset comes in from, I don't want to do these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to spend 5 hours doing, these mindless tasks. So
Yeah.
how can I automate that?
Right.
How can I make it more efficient? Um, and a lot of my drive and my, you know, what I want to build and bring to it stems from that. And
Mm-hmm.
it stems from, I hate the way this process is. Do I have the power to change it? If
Mm-hmm.
not, how can I get there to change it?
Yeah.
Or what does it take to actually change it? Yeah,
So let's say we've got a graphic designer, someone today that's a, maybe let's call him an interactive designer, someone that knows how
sure,
kind of how to design and code for email. Not We're not talking about websites, we're not talking about social banner ads, things of that nature. Somebody that is a specialist, right? And
sure.
is there anything in particular that a scripting language, or some, I've heard obviously the server-side JavaScript is the wave of the future, right? And stuff like that. I'm curious, with all of these different ESPs, iPost being included, a company,
Yep.
we've got our own proprietary scripting language. But do you think that there's something that they really should learn, especially maybe people that want to kind of get in and get to your level in terms of a role? Is server-side JavaScript the way to go? Talk to me a little bit about what they should learn.
So for my progression, what it was, I started out doing, so I've been in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So Salesforce Marketing Cloud has AMP script and it has server-side JavaScript, and
Mm-hmm.
then it has a robust set of APIs that you can use externally.
Right.
For me, it was identifying a small bite-sized project
Mm,
and building it with their scripting language with the tools that you have.
right.
Um, Making it a conscious decision to not say, I have this big problem, I'm going to build out this massive application from day zero.
Mm,
So identifying bits and pieces, small things you can chip away at,
mm,
and small bits that you can learn and keep progressing.
right.
And I think that's true with any of the ESPs,
Yeah.
is that if you have the foundational aspect of HTML, there's
Hmm.
always going to be a scripting language, whether it's handlebars, whether it's liquid, whether it's amp script, whether it's whatever.
Right.
Learn that ESP's scripting language,
Right.
dive into the documentation, dive into it, and see what you can pull off of there.
Right.
And then if the need arises, see what you can pull off outside of the platform.
Sure.
That was kind of my catalyst to taking a step outside. Is I had a couple of projects that Salesforce Marketing Cloud was not the right tool or place to be building it.
Hmm.
So because of the fact that I wanted to continue building it,
Right.
I had to learn how to step outside of the platform.
Right.
And that's what really kind of pushed that.
Yeah. And for my purposes, right? I'm a strategist, right? I've been a strategist for many, many years. I would say I'm rather weaker on the creative side, but I'm more of a strategist. I'm more of a data analyst type of person. And so when I think about the 8 types of email marketers, um, pick your path. Pick your path that you're passionate in, right? I would probably say, and maybe you can agree or disagree with me. I could probably say, hey, man, Tony, do you want to get into deliverability? That's a whole separate, right? Like, you probably be like, dude, I know enough about deliverability, like SPF, DKIM, DMARC, but that's
Yep.
all I know, right?
Yep.
I'm more focused on other things. And so I look, and when I coach or when I talk to people, I say, pick 1 or 2 of these things, right, that you feel you can kind of glom on. One of the things that at least I've experienced over my career, depending upon what you want to get into, is it's a constant state of learning. Somebody
Yeah.
has labeled a person saying, oh, they're the, whatever number in the world email marketer or whatever. And while that's flattering, um, there's a constant learning period. I consider myself to be a student of this craft of email. We talk about innovation in email. And while it's not heavy duty innovation, there's lots of things that you kind of have to formulate and learn about and continue to learn about and update yourself. But the one specific thing I always say to everybody, and I'd love your opinion on this,
Sure.
formulate an opinion. Have an opinion and stick to it. That doesn't mean that you could be right or wrong or try to prove your rightness while someone's trying to prove your wrongness, but you're going to mess up, right? But you're going to have to formulate an opinion on something, whether it's a process, like you try to do a process, or whether it's a strategy or defining a best practice or whatever. So do you agree or disagree with having an opinion on
I
it?
agree with having an opinion, because I think having an opinion and having that type of a mindset, or having that clarified for yourself, gives you some semblance of direction. I think you hit the nail on the head, where like there's so many different aspects of email in general
Uh-huh.
that it's very, very easy to get overwhelmed with everything
Yeah.
and not know where to look.
Yep.
And a lot of times when you are brand side or in an agency
Mhm.
and you have clients or whatever that you are helping through their struggles and their problems, you get labeled as this expert. You have to know everything about it. Well, one of the things that I realized very early at Trendline was, you don't have to know everything. Just know where to find the answers and be able to understand enough of it, or get that gist of it, and say,
Mhm.
this is what I've found out.
Yeah.
If you need more, I can direct you somewhere else to an expert in that, that opinion, right?
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah. It's funny because I read a lot, I engage a lot, I formulate an opinion, but I may not always say what I'm thinking. But I think one of the most important things for any email marketer is that they continue to develop in certain areas. dude, if you ask me to go and code something and create this, I'd be like, there's no way. I don't have that skill set. Like, I can't play the piano. I'd love to play the piano, but I can't do it. So there's certain things, aspects that are completely out of my control. Other things. So we've kind of reached the time that I'd love your final thoughts. Take me through what you would have. You have an audience sitting in front of you with all these various areas or degrees of expertise and experience. What would you say to them?
Well, the one thing that I've learned and the one thing that I have tried to uh, live by myself through my career path and my trajectory through that
Mm-hmm.
is be tenacious,
Mm-hmm.
always be learning. Like you said,
Yeah.
nobody in the email industry knows everything. You're always going to be learning something.
Mm-hmm.
And not to be afraid of taking on projects or taking on skill sets that are outside of your wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
If it interests you, if you have the want and the desire to learn how to do scripting, learn how to do JavaScript, or learn how to develop a piece of software,
Mm-hmm.
start small
Yeah.
and take that step to learn it.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to really progress and really learn, is that you step outside of that wheelhouse
Mm-hmm.
and you push yourself to learn it. And if you decide you don't want to learn it anymore, step
Mm-hmm.
back and look for the next thing.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with stepping out of it and figuring out that's not what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't know it unless you step outside of it.
Yeah.
I think my whole career in email and the email industry has been stepping outside of that role and stepping outside of that comfort zone to say, I don't know if I can do this, but we're going to figure it out
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah. I'm going to tag on to that for just a second. And I would say, if you could find somebody, a channel, a group of people, a brand, a person to follow,
Mm-hmm.
to learn from. I saw this statement the other day, and it it just kind of confused me. I saw the statement. It was, I don't learn anything from somebody that's older than me. I only learn from people that are younger. And I'm like, look, don't pigeonhole yourself into something. Um, Grab a mentor. Ask somebody to be your mentor. I am quite possibly sure that you, right? Because I know you, if someone came to you and said, hey man, I'd love to just meet with you once a quarter and be mentored by you and learn from you, right, of your path, or give me advice. It's not a life coach. It's just somebody that you've been around the block in this industry. So I would say find somebody that you like, learn about them, and then learn to hopefully maybe become a mentor. But I think one of the most important aspects is never stop reading. There's this aspect, I think, about our industry that everyone's turning to videos like us, right? Everyone's turning away from blog posts and webinars because of people's I would call them attention spans. But continue to read books about specific things. There's a lot. I read just about every email marketing book that's out there, right? And I learn something new every single day. And guess what? It's okay to ask for help. Yep. It's okay to say, when I'm struggling with where I want to go or what I want to learn, how can you help me? Because I've been in the community for 23 years now, and I can say there's not really a lot of people that won't bend over backwards in our email community, however many thousands of us there are, to say, you know what, I'm going to help you, or at least I'm going to point you in the direction. And I think that's really important. So, Tony, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. I hope that you continue to rise in your success. I know you do a lot for the community. You put a lot of videos out. You are always willing to help others. And I think that's wonderful. So I wanted to thank you for being a part of Email Never Sleeps and our continued being colleagues together. And I'm honored that you decided to take part today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
And everybody, thank you again for being a part of Email Never Sleeps. Continue watching. I've got some great guests throughout the entire year this year. So Tony's just the start. So thank you again, everybody.